Hey, what's up, everybody? I am back, mental edge training coach here with Chad Hermansen. It's been a while. Haven't done a podcast in a long time. I've been off doing some other things, working at a baseball facility, and I am back and want to start getting back into doing some podcasts here, interviewing players, coaches, scouts, parents on the mental game and seeing what's going on in their life. Today, to get started in 2023, I'm going to be interviewing Tyler Whitaker. Tyler Whitaker went to Gorman High School here in Las Vegas, Nevada, and he was a 2021 third round pick for the Houston Astros. So I'm excited to hear from him. So enjoy this conversation with Tyler Whitaker. All right, Tyler Whitaker, what's up, man? Welcome to the show. How
What's
are you?
going on? Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Did you have a good Christmas, a good New Year's?
Yeah, good holidays. Even though I'm kind of happy it's all over with, so I can get back on my schedule and my routine every day.
Yeah. So you just finished your first full season with the Astros. You got drafted, had a short season.
Yeah.
But we're going to get into kind of the professional side of things here. But I want to go with you way back because I've known you for quite a few years now. Really have watched you grow up from high
Yeah.
school on. And the first thing that you were kind of always I'll just say you were better than everybody,
Yeah.
right? At a very young age. What, and I think you played, what other sports did you play growing up?
I grew up playing everything. My dad, he wanted me to just play everything. He grew up playing basketball, so basketball was always like the other one that I loved doing. I played football a little bit when I was really like 10, 11, 12, but mainly it was just basketball, baseball. Even in high school, I'd go to the gym with my dad and we'd just run pickup games for hours.
Yeah, because your dad was actually a basketball player, right?
Yeah, yeah,
He would always talk about like, dude, I have no idea about baseball. All I know is basketball.
yeah,
And tell us a little bit about your dad and kind of his background.
yeah. So he grew up playing basketball. His mom actually played basketball, and she was actually pretty good when she played. She played up through high school and stuff. But yeah, my dad grew up. He didn't play baseball. He stopped playing baseball when he was like 10. So everything he did, everything he kind of wired into me was based on like competitiveness and trying to be the best. So that was the biggest thing he gave me, and then the confidence too, to just believe that I'm the best and try to. If you're thinking like that, you're gonna play well.
Yeah, I've always noticed that being around your dad. I haven't been around your mom much, but being around your dad, he always had a lot to say in regards to positive thinking,
Right,
constant work ethic, all
for
those
sure.
things. And it was really cool watching you do that all the way through high school
Right.
and into your pro career. So one of the things that I thought of, and I mentioned to you earlier, is every now and then you see a high school kid commit early, say freshman, sophomore year, right in
Right.
high school. You were one of those kids that committed in eighth grade,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So you can say, no matter you talk to certain people, like it could be very controversial. I
Yeah.
would love to hear your intake on that whole process committing as an eighth grader.
Right. So how it happened was I was playing up in age in Arizona, and the head coach he was at University of Arizona, Jay Johnson. He's now at LSU. He uh he saw me play. We ended up getting into contact with him after the weekend. I ended up having a really really good weekend, um, and he wanted me to come down for a camp. And uh, when I went down for the camp, it was again playing up a couple ages, mainly juniors, sophomores, and I was in eighth grade, and I had another really really good weekend. So we ended up talking to him, and he said he was really interested. He didn't want to offer me yet, just because of how young I was. But we ended up going back a couple months later, and he had offered me. But what he had told me was, like I'm going to keep my commitment to you, but you have to keep your commitment to me to get better and turn out to what I think you're going to turn out to when you're a senior. So that was the biggest thing, was like he held me accountable to get better, and I trusted him for post high school, and he trusted me to get to where he thought I could get to, which was being the best player I could be and being trying to be as good as I could at everything on the baseball field.
Yeah, that's interesting. I know, like from your parents' standpoint,
Yeah.
right? Was there anything in there regarding like, hey, what's the rush? Why do we need to do this so
Yeah.
quickly?
I think it was more so of the almost being not locked down, but like having a place, a destination to like look forward to. So it's like I want to be this good, this good, this good, so I can get there, and then having like something to strive for, basically. Instead of having the unknown, it's having the assurance of this is what I'm trying to do. So we kind of looked at it in a different perspective. Instead of trying to get everybody to look at me, it's like, all right, I trust this coach. I think he can turn me into a great professional baseball player. I'm going to try to get to that level and keep getting better. There's more so like in a motivation sense.
Okay. Yeah, because that could certainly go the opposite way, right?
Right,
Right.
for sure.
Because you were what? We were 15 at that point.
Yeah,
15 years old, committed to a major Division I college in Arizona.
yeah,
I have certainly seen it where kids commit early and they kind of just they let themselves go
right,
physically.
right,
They're not really working on anything as part of their game.
right,
It is concerned. But I knew because I didn't know you very well that young. I got to know
right,
you more in high school.
right.
But everything I'd already heard about you was like this kid is he's very mature already for 15.
Yeah,
Not only like physically, like you were tall and wiry, uh,
right,
but from your mindset standpoint, mentally,
right.
right, that you could handle that. So I was like, oh, it sounds like he'll be fine.
Yeah, totally. Which like, and I think part of that's always being, I always played up growing up.
Mhm.
So when I was playing up, I was always the young one, and I had to try to fit in almost. So it's like, I don't want to, I was super quiet. I kept to myself, but I was always really confident and I believed in myself.
Yeah.
So playing with those older kids, you have to make your name somehow. And my way was playing and playing really well.
What were some of the any big names that you played that maybe the baseball community would know that you played with or against at that young age?
Yeah, so growing up, Marcelo Mayer, I grew up playing with him in SoCal when I was young, like 12 and under. Me and him were on the same team. He was always at shortstop. I was in the outfield, and we were our 2-3, 3-4 hitters. And um, but in high school, I mean, a ton of the whole LVR team that I played with, everybody went to go on to play D1 basically. So um, I mean, being around that every day at practice, or every 3 days a week at practice, I mean, everybody's pushing each other.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, and you played mainly with LVR. At what age did you start with them?
I s- I was 12 and I was practicing with their 14s,
Hmm.
and I was playing in Southern California my 12-year year, and then once I got to the big field, I was strictly playing up an age or two with LVR my all the way through high school. So like my senior year was the first time I'd been like in my age since
Hmm.
I was 12.
Yeah, and definitely were standing out at that
Yeah,
point.
yeah, for sure.
You're like, I guess I'll play with guys my age now.
Yeah, right.
Let them catch up. Yeah, so LBR's Las Vegas recruits here in Nevada. They're
Yep.
in Las Vegas. They've been one of the best teams around for a while. Very well known travel organization. Who were your coaches? Was it the same
Uh,
coach the whole time?
yeah, it was mainly it was Brad Maloff, Evan Grissell, and Sean West. Those were the three main ones.
Hmm. And they're still going.
They are. They are.
Very good. Yeah, so I know they had some major influence on you and probably taught you some many things.
Yeah.
Well, good. Eighth grade it kind of finishes, right? You start getting into high school.
Yeah.
Now you didn't start out at Gorman,
No.
right? Tell us about your high school experience.
Yeah, so my high school I started at Arborview. My freshman year I was on varsity. I was playing all over. I was pitching, I was playing short, I was playing third, I was playing outfield. I was kind of just wherever the coach needed me to play. Uh, and then my sophomore year, stuff had happened in Arborview with coaches, and they got new coaches. So and then we'd been in contact with people at Gorman, and I ended up going to Gorman, transferring to Gorman my sophomore year, and I had to sit out because of the transfer rules.
Hmm.
So I was practicing all my whole sophomore year, couldn't play in any games. And then my junior year comes around, I'm finally eligible, and then COVID hit. So I had yet to still play a senior year,
Right.
or a high school season at Gorman, and I'd been there for 2 years. So then my senior year comes around, we'd played winter ball, and fall ball the entire time, like starting in October all the way through about January. Took some time off, and then spring season rolled around, and then the draft, and then pro ball. So it was
That's right. So
it
during
happened
high
so
school,
fast.
yeah. So obviously you made quite the name for yourself committing early. Like in the
Yeah.
baseball world, like, oh, dude, we got a guy that committed really early.
Right.
So everyone was starting to get to know who you are. Like, man, this kid must be pretty good, right?
Right.
And so now maybe everyone's like, oh, we're facing Tyler Whitaker, we're facing his team. But you were also like, man, I can't even play my sophomore year. I have
Yeah.
to sit out.
Right.
21 grad, trying to get through that, but you continue to play, you
Yeah.
continue to work, continue
Right.
to work with your team. Um, when you were so you did a lot of traveling, would you say,
Yeah.
as an amateur? Tell us about that experience.
Yeah, so during the summers, it was my parents, we were never big on showcases, like, it was kind of a thing of, like, if I play and I play well, we trusted that the right people would find me. So, part of it was financially, like, my parents couldn't afford to send me to all these tournaments and big, showcases on the East Coast because that's where they mainly were. But, so it was mainly just playing with the LVR team during the summer, and then practicing during the spring for those 2 years. And
Mhm.
then, yeah, I mean, it was kinda just trust in myself and trust in, like, my family believed in me, that it was like we didn't really chase anything. It was mainly just we're on our schedule of getting better every day and trying to get better every day. And then it paid off, so
Okay, so you're kind of more focused on the process of getting better as a player.
correct.
Um, Financial situations with a family,
Right,
allowed you to maybe do some things. So
right,
I think a lot of parents and families can really relate to that.
right,
On okay, where do I go? What showcase do I do?
right.
Do I even do that? Um, we got to experience some time together. My
Yeah,
son is the same age as you, and you were selected to the area code game,
yeah,
the Reds team. Going in summer of your junior year, right?
yeah,
Going into your senior year.
yeah,
Um, so at this point, you were already establishing yourself as quite the prospect,
right,
and a potential draft guy,
right.
right? I was still scouting at the time, and we were kind of together for about the whole week, right?
Yeah,
We were hanging
yeah,
out, eating some food, and enjoying Atlanta, Georgia.
yeah.
Tell us what that experience was about the area code games in particular, with playing in that type of atmosphere.
Yeah, so during like when you're in the moment, it seems like it's super like important, super, super stressful, like just being a player because like you always want to do good. You always want to be at your best, but now you're playing against everybody else that's just as good as you. So like I tried to just kind of keep myself calm while we were there and just play and have fun. Like, cause I know when I'm having fun and I'm happy, like I tend to play better. Like it's just how I've always been.
Mhm.
Like obviously I'm gonna take my prep stuff really serious in the cage. Like once we get to the field, it's time to go. But everything else, like if I had a bad game or a great game, like kind of just wiping it after and just hanging out with you or with all the other teammates. Like it was that was the biggest thing for me. It was trying not to put too much pressure on myself while we were there.
Mhm. And what did you have? What did you tell yourself? So say a young kid's listening to this that might have the opportunity to go play at that event, because it's
Yeah,
definitely one of the biggest events.
right.
What advice would you give him?
Just trust your prep, like your training. Like you work so hard all the time. Like if you're there, you're not there by accident. Like so believe in that, believe in yourself and just have fun. Like if you're there to pitch, strike people out, throw strikes, have fun with your infielders, whatever it is. If you're hitting, just try to hit the ball hard. Don't worry about results. Don't be so focused on results. Just be content with having a good at bat, hitting the ball hard, whether you get a hit or you get out. Like so, just keeping it simple like that, and control the things you can control more
Hmm.
so than looking at the results of things.
Okay, very good, man. That's awesome.
Yeah,
And I also got the experience actually coaching with you on the field. We had the Dodgers team
yeah,
out here, club, traveled. I guess it was a scout team, right, in
right,
the
right,
fall, ran by Berlin, Germany, out here. And one thing that stood out to me, and has always stood out in when I analyze and evaluated high schoolers when I was a scout. Um, Obviously, I'm looking for the physicality things,
Right.
right? What were all the tools? What do you do on the
Right.
field? But those are pretty easy to see, right?
Right. For sure.
Um, I was always more interested in more the instincts and the maturity level, the coachability, and what kind of kid are
Yeah.
we dealing with and working with. And one thing that always stood out to me with you was number one, you ask questions,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, I mean, you were constantly coming over to me, over to the other coaches, and that told me like you were humble enough to go ask guys that have already been there and done that.
Right.
What would you do here? How would you handle that situation? And that tells me a lot because I'll be frank, there were other players that thought they um, were much better than they actually are.
For sure.
They think they know everything already. And a lot of the 17, 18-year-olds kind of feel that way.
Right.
And sometimes it doesn't take until a couple years later, or even a year or two later, once they get to college, and they kind of get a little bit of humble pie.
Right. Right.
Either by they don't play, they have to redshirt, they get to a college, and they're like, "Wow, maybe I'm not ready for this," type thing.
Right. Right.
I never once had that with you in regards to because whether it's your background, whether it's just the type
Yeah.
of person you are. So I want to like tell you how awesome that is, and
Yeah.
obviously the Astros saw that within you. I'm sure every scout that I talked to, um, as we compare players, like I had you at the top of my list,
Right. I
right?
appreciate it.
Because of all that,
Yeah. For sure.
right? So you were a hitter. You were drafted as a hitter, but you were a very good pitcher growing up. Like
Yeah.
you threw hard. Tell us
Right.
about your kind of two-way experience, and at what point did you say, "I'm just going to hit"?
Yeah. So it was probably like right around my junior year, like right before COVID hit. I'd s- like sl- I don't know why it happened. I always liked hitting more. Like, and I always thought that like with me as a baseball player and looking at myself from a third person point of view, like I was too athletic, too fast, and could play too many positions and liked hitting too much to be a pitcher.
Hmm.
Like no discredit to pitchers, but I couldn't imagine like because I always wanted to get to professional baseball. Like that was always my dream. So I couldn't imagine watching baseball and only being able to play once every 5 days or 6 days, whatever it is when you're pitching. Um, but yeah, my junior year, I just really liked hitting, and I started to feel more confident in the box, and I got stronger and faster, and that was the time like physically where I felt like I matured the most was getting stronger, faster in the box and feeling more confident there. So once that happened, I'd had a conversation with my coaches saying, "Hey, this is what I think. You tell me if I'm wrong. Like this is me as a baseball player asking you guys if I can focus on this because I think I have a really good shot at it." And they were awesome and open with it. And my junior year, I was going to close a little bit, but my senior year, they were like, "You're killing it. Just keep doing it. Like we're good on pitching, basically."
Right. Like you had so many arms. You're like, "Ow,
Right, right, right,
save your arm, just
right.
hit."
Yeah, it was. Yeah, yeah,
So here's the thought that I just had because so I remember watching as a pitcher because I saw just as many good things on the mound for you
right,
as you did with the bat. So it kind of shows how good of an athlete you are and
right.
what you can actually do on a baseball field. Now you're a big guy. You're what 6'4"? How much you weigh now?
I'm like 210, 215.
6'4", 210. So you're getting to the point now where when coaches and scouts are like, well, what does this dude look like when he's 20, 21, 22 years old?
Right.
Right. That's what you imagine when you left high school. What was your size?
When I signed, I was 6'4", 6'3", 180,
Hmm.
185. I'd always put like 190, but yeah, I was like 180.
You always add 5 or 10.
Always, you always add 10 pounds on the fill outs for the for the
Yeah.
tournaments.
Okay. So you've gained like 25 pounds since you've been
Yeah,
drafted.
Yeah.
right? Because you're continuing to grow. And like I said, if you look at anything like your dad's 6'5", like he's a big dude, right?
Yeah. Right.
Kind of basketball body, right?
Oh yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of what you envision: 6'4", 220, 225.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, where does this guy play? Where does Tyler Whitaker play? So I'm sure that's, you've been labeled, oh, he's just a corner guy. He can only
Yeah.
do this or that. Where do you see yourself in the future?
In the big leagues, I see myself in right field or at third base, just because I know I'm going to get bigger and stronger. I can move. I'm fast, but I'm not the elite of the elite fast. Just I've always been really quick and fast for my size, but there's just guys that are faster, and my profile as a baseball player, I think, is to drive in runs. I have a really strong arm in the outfield or in the infield. So I think at right field or third base.
Yeah, that's definitely where I had you pegged. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I knew you could play short, but I also was
Yeah.
like, he's either, if he can stick on the infield, obviously it's
Yeah.
going to be a move to third.
Yeah.
If not, right field. So you nailed it, I think.
Yeah.
So you've established yourself now your senior year as one of the top prospects,
Yeah.
definitely in Las Vegas. Tell us and walk us through the draft process for your.
Yeah. So during my senior year, well, with area codes and everything, I had a pretty good showing at area codes. So then my agent had told me leading up to that, I had mentioned we had fall and winter games all my senior year. So when we had those games, I would send out emails to all the scouts and say, this is where I'm playing. This is what time, this is who we're playing against. And we ended up having scouts at almost every single one of those games. So those games, like, even though they're the winter games and they're to get ready for the spring, those games were just as important for me as they were winning games in the regular season of my spring. So before games, I would go hit every single day before the game. Yeah. So before games, I'd go hit just to be ready for the games. And we'd be playing out in Boulder City at 9 p.m. at night, and it'd be 30 degrees outside. Couldn't feel my hands, couldn't feel my feet.
Yeah.
And I treated those games like it was game 7 of the World Series every game. Like, I was playing hard, running everything out. If I missed hit a ball, I was trying to get to second base. Just trying to do all the little things, because that I felt like that was what would separate me from other guys that are just as good as me around the country.
Yeah, 100%. And I never saw any lack of hustle, in
Right.
that. So that was
Right.
pretty awesome. So the draft day comes, right? So now, just to kind of a little bit of background. So you're drafted by the Astros,
Yeah.
and they don't have a first or second round pick that year.
Right.
Tell us a little bit about that experience.
Yeah, so there's always the mocks and the rankings and all this crap that doesn't matter. So I'll put that out there first. Because really none of the rankings or the mock drafts, none of them have an actual pick. That's what my agent told me, and that's the best advice I could give to somebody. The only people that you need to impress are the people that have a draft pick or signing you to a college. So there was rumors I was going on day one, which I was hoping that would happen, but it didn't end up happening. And I think it was for the best, because the Astros, when they called, I was going to be their first pick. So I was their first rounder that year, basically. And I thought it was a blessing in disguise, because learning what I know now about the Astros, like, I fit their mold of being versatile, hitting the ball hard, being a good guy. Like, everybody that's in the org are good people. Yeah. My agent ended up calling me. We'd already had a number set before the draft of what I would sign for. He called me and he said, the Astros want to take you with this with their first pick, which I think is a huge deal. And he goes, they're investing in you like you're their first rounder, which is awesome. So I was like, yeah, let's do it. Was with my parents at home. Nobody was over. It was like 10 in the morning. And then I didn't even expect to go, honestly. Like, right before my agent called me, I was about to text Jay Johnson, who was at LSU at the time. Like, it's like, hey, I'm coming to school. So, which was crazy. And then, but yeah, like 5 minutes before that, my agent called me and said they want to take you. So,
Okay. Does the college coach, does he try to convince you, or is he like, do what's best for you?
Well, he told me, he was like, if it's life-changing money, go, but if not, come to school so you can get life-changing money.
Mhm.
And that was his spiel on it. And he told me before the draft, he was like, whatever you and your family decide to do, I respect it. Like, I get it. And
Yeah.
which was awesome to hear too, which there wasn't the pressure of like, oh, you better come here or else we're not doing blah, blah, blah with you. But
Right.
he ended up, now we have a really, really good relationship with him. My little brother's committed there, which is awesome.
That's
So
right. We got another Whitaker coming up here,
yeah,
right?
he's
That's
coming,
another kid that's what 6'3" already and
throwing low 90s when
throwing
he's
low
healthy.
90s already. Yeah. So now
Yeah.
he committed what as a sophomore?
Yeah.
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 So
Or a
your family
freshman.
was it a freshman?
Freshman, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. So your family's experienced committing early to college, right?
Right.
Eighth grade, freshman year, and obviously you had uh, that relationship already with Jay Johnson,
Right.
so it all worked out great for you guys. So
For sure.
I've already told your dad. I told him about a year ago. I was like, well, it sounds like this kid's going to be just like Tyler. I was like, there's no way this kid sees college.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean,
We'll see.
when I think he has I think he's gonna be really, really good in a
Yeah.
couple of years. He's
So,
still in the awkward like puppy dog stage where he grew a ton. He's really, really physical, strong, does a lot of things good on a baseball field, but just it all hasn't come together yet.
sure. Yeah, he's a
That's
little
my take
baby
on it.
giraffe stage,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Yeah, trying to
yeah,
figure out that growth and how quick it is, and
yeah.
we're good. We'll be talking to him soon at some point, I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
So, so you got drafted. You're the third pick. You get to pro ball,
Yeah.
right? What happens in pro ball when you get there?
Yeah, so I get there. They do all my evaluations with hitting, throwing, running to get basic, like base marks on me. So like to compare in 3 months and 6 months and a year, just to see how I progress. Because that's all it's about, is just getting a little bit better. And uh, so I'm in Florida in West Palm Beach at the complex, playing games in the Florida or the rookie ball league, which is all Latin guys from the Dominican, Puerto Rico, and Cuba. Don't speak any English. It's me and maybe a couple pitchers, and then the strength coach, and that was it for English speakers, which was an
Interesting.
eye opening. Like, it was
Yeah.
insane. I had never expected or like thought that's what I would be in at 18 years old, which was
Mhm.
cool. But yeah, it was different. It was a different type of baseball than I was used to playing, because it was always about winning in high school. But once you get to pro ball, or especially in the lower levels, you're trying to get better, and everybody's trying to get better. So the winning part isn't as important, but it's all about your development and working on certain things, certain days, and then that type of stuff. So it was just different at first. That's the best way I can describe it, is like just kind of eye opening.
Yeah, you get into that daily grind, right? Was it
Yeah.
was it made practice in the morning,
Yeah. It
going
was,
for lunch?
yeah, it was like, so in the rookie ball, it was get to the field at like 7, eat breakfast, have like a team practice for an hour, hour and a half. But it was always really light. Like, it wasn't crazy because it's Florida in the summer, so you got to be careful. But uh, yeah, then it would be some individual hitting, then it would be lunch, and then it would be a game in the afternoon, and repeat it the next day.
Where you started playing right away, like you were obviously drafted for your bat, right? So
Yeah,
pitching's done at this point.
yeah.
What position did you start playing there?
I played all center field, a couple games in right field, and a couple games at third base. In rookie ball.
Yeah, so they're already like, let's see what happens. Where does this kid
Right,
develop?
right.
What? And that's so 6'4", 180, 190 pounds playing
Yeah,
center field.
yeah.
Certainly didn't surprise me when you started
All
playing
right,
there. But yeah, this guy could play anywhere. We
right.
got Aaron Judge played center field.
Yeah,
His size. So it's that even that position is starting to become a little bit different.
for sure.
Obviously, the range is important, but you definitely have the speed to catch up and
Yeah,
do the things maybe a smaller, quicker player might not
definitely,
possess. So
definitely.
what was hitting like for you? Now you're facing guys that have pretty good stuff every game. What was
Right.
that like?
So the biggest thing I was trying to do was, one, just make contact with stuff and see it and get used to seeing 90 plus every day, because in high school it's like you see 90 plus maybe 3 times a season. So once you get used to seeing the faster pitching, then you got stuff that's breaking more and is way harder. And I didn't even know what a slider was until I got to pro ball, and I didn't know a ball could go straight sideways and when throwing it straight over the top. So that was really eye opening. Um, but yeah, hitting wise, it was basically just trying to minimize movement in my swing and trying to make it as simple as possible.
So minimizing movement. What
Yeah.
type of things did you do prior to that where like, hey, they're like, hey, we gotta start working on eliminating this?
It was just seeing the video from a side angle. You could see your head, like you want your head to stay still in one spot, but sometimes I would jump forward, and I still do it now, but which is what I'm still working on. But it's like minimizing your head movement, because if your head's going towards the ball and the ball's coming in at 95, it makes it look like 105.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to keep your head still so you can see the ball better, pick up spin, that type of thing.
Yeah. Fun, isn't it?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, that's good. So you finish rookie ball, you come home that turn in that off season. You just finished your first full year,
Yeah.
right? Because you're also still kind of going through COVID, right?
Right.
With
Right.
all
Right.
that stuff still happening. And this year you had a complete full year.
Yeah.
What was the whole year like for you?
So I played the most baseball I'd played in my entire life. With spring training, I probably played 160 or 70 games. I ended up playing 120 full games in the full season. I was thankful to be healthy all year and only had a couple bruises from getting hit by pitches or whatever. But yeah, so I started off good, making a lot of contact, and then around May and June, the pitching started ticking up a little bit, and it was stuff I'd never seen before,
Hmm.
and I struggled really, really bad, especially in May. And then I kind of lost my approach, just felt lost hitting. But I just every day I just kept coming to the field, trying to figure it out, trying to figure it out. And yeah, I was just mainly the stuff. Like I'd never seen the stuff before of 95 that's almost, it appears to be rising, or two seams that are breaking 2 feet, and then sliders that are breaking the other way 2 feet, and just that type of stuff. Um, but yeah, I just kept on keeping on every day. Like I showed up to the field, whether I had a horrible game the day before or got 3 hits, like I was just ready to work, ready to attack the day. And I kept that mindset the whole year, which really, really helped me.
Yeah, because you had mentioned that. I mean, as you like any player that's drafted high,
Yeah.
you were basically almost 3 for 4 every game.
Right. Right.
You're having great at bats, 2 for 4 homers, a lot of RBIs, a lot of
Right.
success.
Right.
And now all of a sudden you're seeing pitching you never seen before, and now it's 0 for 4, 0 for 4, 0 for 4,
Right.
and it's like, okay, now what do I do?
Right.
Right?
Which I never experienced the failing part in baseball, pretty much my whole life, even playing up. Like, yeah, I wouldn't do as good as when I played my age, but it was like I could still get 2 hits a game, a hit a game, whatever it was. But when I had stretches of being hitless for 2 weeks, it was like, what the heck is going on? What do I do?
Mm-hmm.
So trying to the biggest thing was like control what I can control. And I'm still trying to figure it out hitting wise, of pitch selection, swing decisions, pitches I need to hit, pitches that are like borderline that are pitcher's pitches, and taking those. But yeah, like just the biggest thing was just trusting the process has been the biggest thing so far. Of like, I know I'm putting in work every day to get better at little things, and sticking with it, and mentally like not dwelling on the day before, and every day is a new day,
Mm-hmm.
has been big for me too.
Yeah. So it's a lot of what's going on with your self-talk,
Right.
right? Like, what are you
Right.
telling yourself? How am I showing up every day?
Yeah.
Am I showing up to the park already defeated?
Right. Right.
Right. And kind of that negative mindset. So that's awesome, man. So you have a year and a half under your belt.
Yeah.
It's January 2023 now. So what do you think, where do you, I guess, what are your goals are for this year, and where do you expect to be playing?
Yeah, this year I'm assuming I'll start in low A again. I finished the year in low A. I finished this year really strong. Um, but expectations wise, again, I'm not like I have my end goals like of where I want to be at the end of the year, like that I set high just because if you set it high and that's what you're striving for, if you come close, it's gonna be really good still.
Hmm.
So I'm trying to when I get to spring training, just be as locked in as I can once I get back into the swing of seeing live pitching every day. And then I would like my end goal, I would love to be end the year in double A this year. I like again, that's a high standard for being my age 20 season. But um yeah, if I could do that, I would be absolutely thrilled. But just being especially I have a lot more confidence now that I've gone through what I've gone through and I know I can get through it. Because like the failing part I had never gone through. So, but I did it. I was better for it. I figured it out towards the end and I can take that in. I took that into the off season. I'm taking that into spring training.
Yeah. So the adversity that you faced,
Yeah.
right, when you kind of, let's say, down in the dumps, if you will,
Yeah, for
right,
sure.
and not feeling too great about your performance, you just kept going at it.
Yeah.
You just kept plugging away. Was there anything either physically or mentally that really stood out to you? Something that was said, a coach told you, anything that you could maybe share that could help someone?
The biggest thing was my approach and not trying to do too much. Like, yeah, I'm trying to hit the ball really hard, but sometimes less is more. And swinging 70% and making more contact is better than taking a G hack every time and trying to hit a home run. Like staying, like for me, staying gap to gap, up the middle, pulling the inside pitches, going the other way with the outside pitches, like keeping stuff simple really helps me. So not overthinking in the box too. Like look for fastballs, if something hangs, hit it. You know what I mean? Like super simple stuff.
Yeah. So you're mainly approach wise looking like fastball middle away, every pitch, fastball
Just
middle.
something. I'm just looking for a heater
Yeah.
anywhere.
And adjusting off speed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the big thing too is it's cool that we have technology that like will show where the pitches are at and if they're good takes or not. So it's like if the ball's I don't know, 2 inches off the plate, gets called a strike. That's a good take. Like that's a pitcher's pitch, tip your cap. But if it's a pitch that's on the middle third of the plate and you take it, it's like, all right, probably should have swung at that one.
Sure.
Like that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Then you start kicking yourself a little bit, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
And
for sure.
things can certainly spiral from there too.
Oh yeah.
I did pull the trigger there.
Oh yeah.
Well, it's awesome, man. Well, I'm certainly excited to continue to watch your career, and still young. Are
Yeah.
you 20 right now?
Yeah, I turned 20 at the end of the last year.
Yeah, so 20, still trying to figure it out, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think that's what people don't understand, um, especially like say in the high school area of things where um, there's so much work to be done, right?
Yeah,
Even
it's
you
insane.
don't even really know who you are as a player at the high school level. Like I'm good. I'm hitting homers. I'm hitting doubles. I have the tools, but I'm just playing, right?
Right.
And
Right.
then when the competition gets better, you're like, okay, well, I better get better, right?
Right.
I might have to start putting in more work. Really,
Right.
do I need to work on hitting breaking balls, whatever my weakness is,
Right.
right? And then learning how to get through the adversity.
Right.
And it's, like I coach players too, right?
Yeah.
On handling that adversity. But you kind of said it's like you have to kind of figure out with yourself and be able to learn how to coach yourself,
Yeah.
because you're the one that's in the box. You're the one that knows, okay, I'm struggling with these pitches, right? And how do
Right.
I handle it? What do I work on? And how am I showing up in the box every time?
Right. For sure.
Yeah.
And like having a presence too. And like I don't ever want anybody to say I have a big ego about things, but like when you're playing and you're talking to yourself about your play, like you kind of have to have an ego about yourself. Like you have to be confident. You have to think you're the best. Cause if you're not thinking that way, somebody else is and they're gonna be playing better. So it's
Mhm.
like you have to think that you're the man when you're in the box or you're on the mound or you're on lining up on the football field or playing basketball, like you have to think you're the best.
Love it. Absolutely. Love it, dude. Well,
Yeah.
we'll certainly be rooting for you. And like I said, Ty, I've been really impressed with you watching over the last few years. I'm not surprised at all with how your success and where you're at. And I think things are going to only continue to get better. And certainly can see you, somewhere in the middle of that lineup in Houston in a couple years.
Yeah,
And
that'd be awesome.
yeah. And any final words of advice for, say, high school, college players that are wanting to play pro ball?
Just it's a grind. Believe in yourself. Just trust your work. That's the biggest thing. Like my dad will even tell me, like even told me earlier this week, he was just like, just trust what you're doing. Like you do it every day for so long, especially over this off season. It's like every day I've been working out or hitting or doing something to get me better for this next season. So it's just trust it. Like don't overthink things. Like just trust what you're doing. When you're there, give everything you got to your workout or to your hitting or to your defense or whatever it is, and just believe.
Love it. Love it, man. Wise words for a 20-year-old, dude. All right. Well, Tyler, I'm happy to stick on here. We'll go ahead and end this call, but I appreciate you guys coming on board. Hopefully you learned something here from Tyler Whitaker, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Take care.